Alright guys, this is Flint's Paw. I finally narrowed it down to what I think is 5. Not to give PM any honor or anything, but this was a hard challenge for me as well as a lot of people that I've heard talk about it. Here's my first entry. This is a first lost lake point that I ever found back in the mid-90s, and I picked the ones that are my favorites based on how that I remember when I felt when I found them. There are some points that's not to say I don't appreciate them, but there are some points that honestly didn't do as much for me as some others. But there are a few points that, I mean, just blew me away. And this one, when I found it, being the first lost lake, and it's not the best that I've ever seen, but it's the only one that I've ever found this complete. And it's got an ear nick there, and one of these lobes are broke. But anyway, that's the one that I named my lost lake field after, because it's the only lost lake that I have ever found that complete. But I really like that. That'd be, I guess what I would say would be number 5. I found that back in the mid-90s. And there was about a 10 or 12 year lapse, I've mentioned it to some of you, that I wasn't able to go and hunt. I've always loved it, but I just wasn't able to go. And really got back into hunting this year. And I've had an awesome year. These two you've seen before. These were not personal finds, but these in fact were given to me. They were found together by my great aunt. Let me lay one of these down. I don't want to mistreat these things at all. But these are just awesome blades, and you've seen them before, and I won't spend a whole lot of time on them. But I brought them outside. I wanted to do this video outside because the inside light here doesn't justify these colors. You can see that, and I assume, I'm pretty sure it's made of hornstone. And this other one may be hornstone, but yet then again it could be a Fort Payne chert. But it's got the collateral flaking on that thing. It's just an awesome piece. No telling how many times I've handled these pieces because I've owned them since I was about 10. But my great aunt found both of these together behind her house. They were doing maneuvers, military was. They went behind her house and excavated some places to do some whatever they needed to do. And she went up there after they left and found both of these laying pretty near to one another. But that'd be entry number 4. Look right there, PM. He's got to where he's calling me brawler of brotherly love or something like that. I don't know what he's thinking of, but it's in a good way. Here's I guess number, let's see, that was 5-4. I'm gonna say this one would be number 3. Now I got really excited whenever I found that. Again, I'm basing it on how I felt when I found it. Look at the colors in that thing. I can't tell. It's so bright outside. I wanted to do this outside because these colors really show outside. And they would have showed even more if I'd have thought to brought me some water, but I didn't think to do that. And I wished I'd have got these stickers off before now, but I didn't do that either. But anyway, this is a big sloth that I found this year in my big sloth field now, thanks to that one. 3 1/4 inches long, 1 1/4 wide. Nice point. The sun's gone in, I can see it. Okay. This one, I'm just going to throw it in there. It ain't even part of my favorites, and I can do that because PM done that. I think I stopped counting at 34 that he had showed already whenever the rule was 5. And just like anybody, he got defensive when I called his hand on it, and He said he and Rick had discussed it prior to the challenge, knowing that I'd cause trouble. So they allowed me to show ever how many I wanted to. But found this real nice little, I think it's a drill, but look what a bevel on that thing. Found it back in January of 2012 in the woods. And I just craved to go there and dig, but I just hadn't got up enough nerve to ask the people yet. In fact, it just went into a sale about a month ago, and now I know who bought it, but I don't know them personally. That's just a real fine piece, and no telling how many times I walked through that area of the woods as a kid, going fishing to a pond, and that just happened to be laying around the roots of some of those trees, and there was all kinds of broken pieces and flint chips and stuff where they sit right there at that particular spot. And it's up on a high spot just above 3 spring heads that comes out and feeds together, and it's an ideal place, and no telling what's under the ground right there. That's not a part of my challenge, but anyway, this one isn't either, but I wanted you to see it. Many of you have seen it before. I disqualify this one simply because it's been restored. About 3 inches of this tip right here has been restored. I found 5 3/4 of it, and it's restored to 8 1/4. Dr. Gomer done that out of Florida, and he restored it as a Harahei blade based on where it broke at, and I've showed that in an earlier video. Based on where it broke at, the beveling had started alternating in the opposite direction. It's a 4 bevel blade. There's a bevel on this side, and then on the rest of the remainder it's on the top side. Same way with this one. It's on the lower side and on this side at the midway point. But anyway, it done broken beyond the turning of the bevel. This is the original end that I found. It's just a classic steep beveled blade. I didn't enter that in the blade challenge because I knew that it had been restored, and that's just my personal preference. I've seen modern nap stuff entered in the challenge, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I just chose not to, but I wanted you to see it out here in the sun. It's a real nice piece, restored or not. This will be number 4, or number 2. We started the other way, didn't we? Found that one this year. You seen me find it on video, just a little bit of it sticking out of the ground, and ended up all that thing was there. Just an amazing find. It's got one little modern nick right there. Of course the tip's got a little nick, but it's not modern. It's really ground base, just a classic dovetail, just a real pretty shape. That thing's 3 5/8 of an inch long. I believe it's made out of Fort Payne chert. Interesting that Brooksy said that the earlier people used the best material they can find, and I hadn't read on it. I don't know if that's so or not, but it does seem like that the earlier stuff has got the better material, and I don't know if that's first come, first serve or whatever, or in fact they did seek it out. But either way, I agree with him. The material is just amazing on these older points. And I want to throw this in there in the middle. See, PM, he done this the other night. He would show a favorite, and then he'd show multiple pieces, and then he'd say, well, back to my favorite. So I'm getting this from him. Had this a long time in my collection. I believe it's a big hand axe. This side's uniface. Maybe have a few flakes removed around it here and there. That you can just see that big old bulb there fitting right in the palm of your hand. I don't know, it may have been a handheld tomahawk. Who knows how many people that right there may have scalped or something. I mean, I could see that being used like that. And if I can see it, I know PM's seen it. I mean, he can find an artifact in a piece of round coral. I mean, I can find one in most anything too. Big old honko. And then I'm going to go on and throw another one in there while I'm on these big honks. check this thing out. Big old disc-like thing, hornstone. You can see it's been gnawed all the way around. Just as slick as a button right there on both sides. It's got some banding going on in the material right there. I have no earthly idea what they used it for, unless it was a two-sided grinding stone of some sort. But it's got some weight to it. I mean, that thing, it probably weighs 2 pounds. But I could see that being used for that, or pounding, or whatever they wanted to do with it. Didn't have to have no fancy shape to it for them to utilize it. One more piece of, then I'll get back to my favorites. I mainly wanted you to see the colors in this piece right here. That's some of the better quality hornstone that I come across. It's a big scraper or a knife or some kind of thing. It's a handful, I know that. It's got that big old bullseye in it, and that's just a creamy color. And then it's blue inside there, and it's blue and gray mingled on the outside. So just an absolutely marvelous material in that. But then you all seen my number one, and I don't know when I've ever been as excited as what I was whenever I found this thing. I've never had to take a trip to the truck prior to ending the hunt, and I'm still nervous about handling it. I've never found nothing hardly as fragile. You know, I mean, fragile feeling even. It looks tells you it's fragile, but just the feel of it, how lightweight that it is, and how just, I don't know, just like it's so ready just to break right in your hand. But it's one amazing piece, and it's translucent. Well, semi-translucent. I won't say completely translucent, but you can see a lot through this tip right here because it's so extremely thin and pointy. Paleo Man's got me one in the mail that he said that he believed it'd be pretty close, and I'm anxious to get it and see what it looks like. But I'm gonna lay this thing back down and see if I can't get this camera off this tripod and give you a shot. But this will be my all-time favorite. I like them all, but based on how I remember feeling when I found it, this one, so to speak, and we say a lot of things down south, a lot of people don't know what we mean, but this would make me slap my pappy if he was still alive. It's a nice piece. I guess that means you'd slap happy or something like that, but I was sure enough happy when I found it. See if I can get this camera off this tripod and just show you these pieces right here. I've got them laid out here. I don't know if I'm zoomed in or zoomed out or which way I need to go. I'll just stay right there. Well, this being number 5. These being number 4, although they're awesome pieces and nothing to belittle by no means by them being number 4, but I didn't find them. I appreciate them all the same. This one being number 3. Well, no, that wasn't even a challenge, was it? This one being number 3. This one being number 4. And that one being number 5. It was 3.5 inches long. This one here was 3 5/8 long. That one there was 3 1/4. Never did measure that one. And these right here, of course, I think this one's 3 1/4, and this one's like 4 1/4 or 4 1/2. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, that's my entry, guys, and I hope that you've enjoyed the challenge as much as I have. And there you go, Pistol Man. Later.